students have joined, Nancy Ben and Kirtan Rathod. Uh, we will wait for 1 or 2 minutes more and then we will start our session, that is day 6 for our Six Sigma. Today, basically, I have planned two topics. That is, first, we would be doing the theoretical aspect, and then in our second half, we would be just working on Minitab and let other people join so we can start our session. Okay, so should I start now? Only two students have joined. Okay, so basically, it's again an important factor that we want to emulate. And again, a Japanese strategy which we are adopting as Six Sigma is from Japan, and we are adopting their strategy, emulating the benchmark of Kobayashi, the Mitsubishi success model, and we would be just decoding how they have achieved the success. They have given a small factors due to which they have gained a very successful model in car manufacturing. So we would be decoding it. It has just 12 to 14 small points, and that we would be just discussing. They are telling them as a key points. So the first key point, as we have discussed, or as it has been discussed in our session also, it is cleaning and organizing. Most of the time, see, management also has the principle of organizing the stuff, organizing the things. Even like our 5S principle was giving importance of cleaning. So they are also adopting the same thing. The first thing was the cleaning and organizing the different tools. The second key factor which they give importance is measured management objectives. Many times we need to measure the management objectives, like what are the different management objectives that we have to follow. Most of the time we have to see safety purpose, we have to see horizontal hierarchy, we have to understand clear instruction from the top. See, communication plays vital role. Many times we need to not only measure the management objectives, but we also, as a you can say Six Sigma, uh, all of them are involved, as I had discussed, from top to, you can say, yellow belt, which is having. So they all are involved in getting that success. But first of all, they should measure the management objectives, that what we want, what at the end we want. Next key success factor is small group activity. Many times we need to just make a small group, and we need to just work out, like in our we have seen that Dabbawala case. They were having a small group and they were working with each other, and efficiently when they combine the work, they all were having a successful outcome. Same way, one suggestion per month per person, that is a small group activity. See, this is again an important thing. Many times, small group activity gives an innovative outcome, innovative idea of the people. So, one suggestion per month per person. Every person has to write something and just suggest to them. Short standing meetings to stress efficiency. Many times, I had seen one organization, there is a time for dance for the employees. Even in Google also they are following this practice. Whenever everyone is tired or in a group, in a day break, they just play the music in an office, and they just have that ambient, that they are dancing and all that. So that all things should be again implemented. Most important thing, see, human orientation is there, and when performance orientation is there, they both are positively correlated. Like most of the time we want to make our employees enthusiastic. So as a top management, you need to see, as a project leader, or you can say as a Six Sigma implementation, you should see that how they like their work. The fourth important process is basically reducing the inventory. That is our work in progress. So that I had even already added in our previous principle, but it has also added here. So all the activity they do not add the value to the product, they are considered as a wasteful activity. So that should not be done. That should be ignored. And on the basis of it, we just have to keep our inventory as per the requirement, like whatever the demand would be there, that much inventory if we keep, it would directly or indirectly increase our efficiency. The mudda concept which we have heard. So this was the 8 types of waste which I had just discussed with you in our previous sessions only: waste of transportation, waste between process, waste of capital, waste of defect, waste of motion, waste of inventory. So try to reduce the waste. That is the basic concept of, you can say, lean. Okay, this is something new that you need to learn. Quick changeover technology. See, basically, what happens? The process has to pass on. Like if we are just moving towards production department, the process has to pass on to different process. So now there should be quick changeover. So now, like we should make our process so smooth that it should be passing through one machine to another machine smoothly, and due to it the quick processes goes on and there should be continuous flow of action. So the same thing is that quick changeover technology should be adopted. Anyone should be able to perform a quick changeover in new environment. Like most of the time, if we change something, but then also the change should not be reluctant, it should be accepted. Accept change to shorten all changeover in less than one cycle time. So if something is changed, but then also in one cycle time, you just understand the change and work on it. So that is basically known as a changeover. But in real sense, in production sense, as I have discussed, whatever the change from one machine to another machine, if our product moves, there should be smooth changeover should be there. Like for example, in this only you can see it that they are changing the dies in a manufacturer. So 1 minute cycle cycle time, and I can change the die in less than time, and that's that. Like many times the processes are done manually. Even I am having one video of that chocolate making, like a mega factory video. The chocolates are packed by one person and he has habit that he can pack it I think 632 box in 1 minute. So now that is basically due to his skill they have developed. So that's why an important thing is that no matter what sort of work comes in this way, I can change the die in less than 10 minutes. See, this is a basic thing. Like this is a basic difference. We need to improve our process smoothly. Sixth point is again a key point: value analysis of manufacturing methods. That is, we should try to improve the methods of production. We should ask 5 times for every motion of activity. Like when we see the processes, we should ask why this process is happening, whether it adds the value or not, and all other questions. Modular management of predetermined time standard, that is known as our material handling method. Many times we need to see whether this process happens that is on a feasible time, whether it is achieving the standards. All these things, if you consider it, and on the basis of it, you need to upgrade your methodology. This is funny characters which we are they are discussing. Let's try to automate the material handling. If we can only get rid of bottleneck, the entire process would be faster. See, this is they are just talking. They are not trying. Also, we are working on putting the plant to autopilot during lunchtime. I have done an analysis with OM chart, but actually they are nothing doing. So that is a waste. So that thing should not happen in your organization. Make your process zero monitor production process. See, most important thing is that zero monitor production process, how it is possible because of efficient work which is interrelated, and if the chain is working from starting to ending, if the chain is following the sequence of set of rules, at the end you can just measure it the performance. So that is zero monitor production. Like if like a person works and it goes from b a to b, b to c, c to d, and at the end suppose z is giving the outcome, z would give me actual results. So that is zero monitor production. I don't have to monitor each and everyone's work. It would be monitored by each other and process would be in a smooth flow. Like monitoring is considered as a form of waste, as I have discussed, rather than we need to make a system which is automized, which is just working in a basic way, but it gives the output without monitoring them. That is, there should be self-discipline. In simple words, there should be self-discipline. So that is an important thing. Watch the running machine. Nobody see this in this cartoon picture again. The same things are highlighted. If nobody takes care of me, I will break down. Now machine is also saying that if someone is not handling me, I can break down. Sometimes I make defects. I am doing the great, and overall machine is also having competitions. Some machines are still unpredictable, so I can feel good about trying run multiple machines on time, because this machine can run during lunch without me. I think that I will set it working just before I go to home. So this all things should not happen. That should be in a process. You should know which we have done. Like statistical process should be there. There should be less variation, and if it is there, then you can work on autopilot. We are moving towards next key eight factor, that is integrating function. See, integrating means like many times the processes are integrated. Like after completion of first function, there is second function, and on the basis of it, we need to move ahead. So reduce the inventory at the joining points. Like most of the time, if there is joining point, like from A machine to B machine, if we are transferring the goods, don't pile up the goods there. The work in progress should not be there. It should be in a reduced form. It should be processed very fast. Reduce the joints and make the seamless plant maintenance activity every time. So this is the eighth rule. See, this is the same thing which is highlighted. We need to make our process smooth flow. Now, why maintenance machine and equipments are important? Remember, prepare preventive maintenance group and full employee involvement in study groups. See, whenever we are working on a machinery, the calibration and maintenance plays an important role. Why it plays an important role, that I would like to describe it. Because if we want a flawless production, our machine should be serviced at time, and not only it should service that time, if there are certain wear and tear, if the parts which are required to be replaced, maybe many times conveyor belt or any other belt, if it is replaced, it should be replaced on time, so our breakdown would be less, and due to it our production would be increased. Our 10th and important rule is work floor time policies. Many times workers, like we are just giving a person a time, like a chart that this person would be working at this many hours and all that. But encourage workers to do the next day's preparation before they go home at night. Most of the time it plays an important role. Like I just wanted to give a small example here. When I was small, no, at night near about 10 or 11, when I was going to bed, my mother says that बेटा पैक कर ले अपना स्कूल बैग, जो भी बुक्स है कल का टाइम टेबल परफेक्ट कर दे, तो सुबह उठ को तुझे परेशानी नहीं होगी. The same thing happens in our production activity. Whenever the worker is leaving the office, he should just arrange the things accordingly, and not only accordingly, but next day's work should be properly arranged, so that in next day he should not have any delay or flags or something like that. He should be ready for the work. Yes, what happened? Any doubt till now to anyone? Am I audible till now? Any doubt, students? Yes, no? Okay. So as I had given a workflow policies, or you can say time policies, that before going home, a person should plan tomorrow's work. Like it has been highlighted in a poster also, that I have posted today's work and tomorrow's work. Most of the time, the schedule has been complete. My tools and materials are ready. Everything is set up for tomorrow. Let's go home. Okay, most important aspect is quality assurance system. Next process is customer. No bad product to next process. Remember, whenever we are just working on a process, at the end you would be delivering goods or service to customer. So your next process, you should consider it as a customer. No bad product or defective product or half work done should be given to the next process. Workers perform inspection on their own product. Remember, many times in a manual production, they are doing the inspection and they just give it to the people. So this is something like that. We must build the quality that is produced by ourselves. So Poka Yoka, I had just explained this concept, that we should be making our process so that way that we should not make error, and we should deliver the seamless goods, the quality goods to next process or our last customer. 12th is developing your supplier. See, it is most important thing. Treat external as internal division. Many times, just-in-time system, as we have discussed also in our production and operation, that many times just-in-time system plays vital role. To reduce our inventory, we should make collaborations with our suppliers so that whenever we require a goods, like whenever we get an order and whenever we require goods, on the basis of our demand, they can supply the goods. So that is most important. So treat external as an internal division. So whether they are external people, external companies, we should make them our family. Technical support should be also available. Eliminate waste with a treasure mountain map. Many times we need to just remove the waste which customers are not willing to pay. Like in case of dairy milk, I had just given a best example. They have removed the foil. Our 14th process is empower worker to make improvement. So as I had discussed, many times we need to work in a flowless sense way, that our workers should give an innovative idea, expand process capability in improvement corner, build through low cost automation device. See, many times as in Six Sigma also, when we have discussed the case of you can say Dabbawala, they don't have much technology, but they have adopted Six Sigma you can say standard. They have just made their process error free. So same way, you as a product manager or a quality manager try to develop that and try to improve the process to that extent. Next is skill versatility and cross training. Many times you just need to check who is having the skill, what kind of skills are there. You just, when workers are performing as a manager, when you observe it, you see who is having better skill, and try to just deploy that person there and try to improve the process. So that is most important thing. Next is production schedule. Of every time we need to just prepare a schedule. On the basis of it, we just need to start our work and end our work accordingly. If the schedule is not proper, you would be delivering the goods and you would be delaying delivering the goods, and due to it your company's reputation would be affected. Next is efficiency control. Many times you need to make certain standards at each process, and you need to compare that standards. You need to plan that standards and compare actual standards whether they are meeting or not. So that's why you can control your efficiency, like what is your efficiency, how you are working. On the basis of it, you need to control it. Using the microprocess means small works would be given to all of them, and on the basis of it you need to work on it. Like mechatronics are there, learn about the sensors and how they are used. Small things we need to just add it to our system, and we need to improve our process. Next is conserving the energy and materials. See, most important thing is that Many times we need to conserve energy, we need to reduce the cost, and we need to make a production efficient way. So that's why we need to improve, and like with less energy we need to develop a more output. So quantify the importance of conservation by showing the energy and material cost by percentage of total cost. And last is leading technology, you can say side technology. So there is no interest in progress of other players in industry. Many times if you lead it, so don't compare with them. You make your own path. You try to work on that path. People in the factory are content with current side technology. You're basically many times I am saying that when you are just discussing about monopoly, no, you just don't discuss that monopoly can be achieved by copying others. You just have to make our people, the power, the production people who are just working in a day and night, you they just to be empowered by given certain training and all that, and they can achieve the success, huge success. The factor is about on par with rest of the industry. So now this much was there, that was left in a theory part. So any doubt till now, students? Any doubt to anyone? Any doubt to anyone, students? Yes, no? Good evening, students. Any doubt till now? The 20 points of Mitsubishi? Clear. Great. Now, basic things we would be learning. So first of all, again, we would be just working on our Minitab. So now basic data analysis I would be discussing. See, many times as I am saying that in quality, when you just have a data and when you analyze that data, that is basically on the in quality they are saying that it is evidence based improvement action. See, without proof we cannot act. And obviously when we see the data, we try to make the data, or you can say we try to process the data in form of information that sends a quality manager to improve it. So now basically we would be moving towards database testing element, that how we would be just working on database testing element. The first is we need to model, or you can say the first step is to model that our CTQ, our Y element and influence factor. So first of all, whenever we are doing or whenever we are applying any data analysis technique, we should know which variable is X variable and which variable is Y variable. So again, I am just debriefing that how to just know which variable is X variable and which variable is Y variable. So remember, whenever the affecting variable or on which the effect has been imposed, like for example, uh, due to rain, the crops have grown good. So crops, or you can say growth of crops, are Y variable, and due to rain, so rain becomes your X variable, which influence the growth of crops. So X and Y variable you should know first of all. And here when we just discuss about quality parameter, so Y variable is always defined as CTQ, critical to quality element, and we need to know which is our critical to quality element and which is our influence factor. We need to identify several tools for database testing. We would be seeing it one by one. What are the different tools and when to apply that tools. So please take a snapshot of this slide. As I had discussed all the types of data, nominal, ordinal, ratio and interval. Now remember, my software doesn't understand all that. It only understands two categories, whether my data is numerical data or my data is a categorical data. Now with what kind of data is numerical, like any types of throughput times or any types of numbers which represents the time or any other variable, whether maybe ordinal or whether maybe ratio, or you consider as interval data, that is numerical data. And other type of data is considered as a categorical data, which categorize the data. Maybe Like sometimes the data categorized, our data should be of male, female, then gender is considered as the categorical data. So machine one, two, three. So one would be labeled for machine one, two would be labeled for machine two, and three would be labeled for machine three. So this type of data are represented as numerical and categorical data, and most of our software Minitab understands this both thing only. So first of all, if your y variable, that is your CTQ, is numerical, and if your x variable is also numerical, obviously regression analysis, and with regression analysis you can correlation, first correlation analysis is done, and then on the basis of it regression analysis is done. Correlation or regression analysis is conducted. So this is a basic thing. If both the variables are in numerical form, you can just conduct correlation or regression analysis. If our y variable is numerical and x variable is categorical, then you need to apply ANOVA. And if the data is non-parameter, then Kruskal-Wallis test is applied. If our y variable is categorical and x variable is numerical, then regression, you can say logistic regression is applied. And if your y variable is categorical and x variable is categorical, so both the data is you can say categorical, non-numerical, then chi-square test is applied. Now the question comes, when we apply any data, like when we apply any test, the first question comes in our mind that are the two concepts or variables are related. So we first need to understand the causality. Why? Because in a quality, causality plays an important role. So causality would be giving us an information that why one variable or change in one variable impacts the change in other variable. So that is an important aspect that we need to learn, and always just try to highlight this thing, that is your CTQ is related to influence factor, or simple terms is your y variable is related with our x variable. We need to find out relation, whether by applying correlation test or whether by just finding out by seeing a scatter plot, which we have done also in our previous session. Okay, now you will ask, sir, from where in our DMAC process uh, we need to apply data analysis methodology. So remember, in DMAC phase, the define, measure, analyze, when we just come to improve phase, we are just adopting the basic data analysis techniques, or you can say statistical analysis techniques. And here you would be also applying the hypothesis. Many times the hypothesis would also be applied at this stage, because a quality manager would try to improve, but when he would be improving the stage, because when there is a chance of improvement, or you can say in simple term, when he gets an opportunity, but for that he should know that what present system is going on. And that's why near improve phase you are just hypothesizing anything, and on the basis of it you are testing it, and on the basis of it, if the new methodology gives certain improvement result, then you would be controlling that variables. Okay, most important concept is hypothesis testing. Can anyone say what do you mean by hypothesis? Just for like whatever comes in your mind, just discuss. Don't worry. गलत होगा तो भी कोई चिंता मत करना. I am here to correct you. What do you mean by hypothesis? Good evening, students. Are you all there? Good evening to all. What do you mean by hypothesis? Should I give the answer? Very good. Gaurav has given very nice answer. Prediction. Gaurav, what kind of prediction, beta? Just elaborate. Okay, okay. Now, Gaurav, I am giving the answer. Don't worry. Okay, it is possible or not. Very good. Now, for example, for example, I am just giving an educated guess that suppose I wanted to buy a house at Rajkot, and I am giving just an assumption basis, based on my prediction that average 2 BHK house near Rajkot would be 25 lakhs. So now suppose on the basis of sample and population, I would just do a sampling. I would just find out 10 to 15. I would contact 10 to 15 builders, and on the basis of it, I will find out the different rates of 2 BHK house or flats, and on the basis of it, I will get some average. On the basis of that average, whatever my prediction was, that my prediction was near about 25 lakh. But if suppose maybe if Rajkot is a costlier city than Jamnagar, then it would be you can say positive side. The answer come maybe 30-35 lakhs. So my prediction was rejected. My null hypothesis was rejected. Suppose my prediction again can be rejected in a lower side. Like suppose the house is available at 19 or 20 lakhs. So I had predicted 25 lakhs. So again, in a bell-shaped curve, it has been rejected. So that is most important thing. Like you need to see whether your things goes according to it, whether the hypothesis is verifiable. How can you test it? So there are two types of hypothesis that we know: null and alternate hypothesis. So remember, whenever the researcher, see in Six Sigma, again I would say a quality manager, but in our sense, whenever any researcher hypothesize a claim, it's his null hypothesis. Always it is same. Like for example, I had claimed that average housing price of 2 BHK flat at Rajkot would be 25 lakhs. So my hypothesis, or you can say my hypothesized claim was 25 lakhs. Now after that, my null hypothesis would be not equal to, because whenever I am just checking the claim, whether that claim would be, you can say, rejected or it would be failed to rejected. Now we would be moving towards an important H-tab method. You have studied this, I think, but again, it's an important thing because we need to do certain tests, and that's why we need to identify it. So first test is, like first step in hypothesis testing is, we need to justify our null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. So obviously, many times, our null and alternate hypothesis should be framed by a quality manager. Maybe there should be on the basis of sample we are predicting the population. Then also we should just accept, and you can say we should finalize our claims on the basis of the sampling method which we are using. The next thing is, or you can say next step is collection of the data. We need to collect different types of data. We need to collect what are the required methodology of the data, and on the basis of it we need to just see what the test we should apply. Like if the data is parametric, norm, if it shows normality, if it is one variable, then t-test. If it is more than one variable, then pair t-test, or you can say if still more than two variables, you can move towards ANOVA and all that. So that we would be learning, but you should see it, which test is applied and how you are just getting the outcome. So when we just apply the test, there would be p-value, probability value at 95%, whether our data would be rejected or fail to rejected. We cannot say accepted in our research. Same way in quality also the same principles apply, whether our data would be rejected, or you can say whether our null claim, the claim which was made by a researcher or quality engineer, whether it would be rejected or whether it would be failed to rejected. Okay, so I think this was a basic hypothesis testing, or you can say HTAB was there. Any doubt till now? Anyone? Any doubt till now to anyone? Gaurav or Nancy Ben or anyone? Yes, no? Should I move ahead now? Great. Now, basic things we need to see. The first thing is correlation and causation. So many times, some people says like anyone has asked me, Rohit sir, correlation and causation is are equal. Remember, no, they are different. Correlation is totally different. Just tries to see the relationship, or you can say it tries to see the magnitude of relationship between the two variable. But when you just apply a causation, because in quality you would be just trying to relate the causation, and on the basis of cause and effect relationship, you try to identify the main impact of a cause on y variable. So here there is not like there is no direct implication comes from correlation, that correlation just highlight the causation effect. No, maybe sometimes spurious correlation can happen, but that is another thing we would be discussing. But remember what actually the causality shows. Causality shows only cause and effect relationship, and many problems that we commonly face it when we apply a causality test. So as I had discussed, the wrong direction of the time, or you can say wrong direction of the causality. Here I had written one of the best example. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, uh, when we had done first example of our analysis, the caffeine percentage, uh, like extraction time and decaf coffee. Like I just wanted to show one graph, and we will discuss this concept again. Just give me 1 minute, students. In our mini tab, it was nearly okay. I will just prepare one. And today I would just upload this data set so that you can practice from today only. Just give me 1 minute, students. Hopefully now screen is visible. Screen is visible, students? Yes, no? Okay. Now check it is visible, hopefully. Yes? Okay, great. See, this is one of the important thing which I will share today. This data set has each and everything, and each and every you can say things would be highlighted. Like maybe very small writings are there, but I would be reading for you all. Like whenever we are doing any exercise, no, everything would be there. Like whenever we are doing visualizing, so Pareto chart, the data would be of this biscuit, and all that things are here. It is highlighted. So suppose now if I want to do ANOVA, there is a data of moisture content. Suppose I want to do Kruskal-Wallis test, the data is available for THT. Suppose two sample T test I need to do, then again fertilizer data is there. The same way other data are given. Even T bags and all that regression and other data is given that we would be learning by one. Today I would be focusing on three different methods. That is, today we would be learning ANOVA, Kruskal-Wallis test. Even we would be just doing chi-square test, and we would be interpreting even two sample t tests. So this much test today we would be focusing, and we would be just trying to interpret it properly rather than other things. But first thing, as I had discussed, like basic okay, fine. So basic data which I need to show you today. or you can say where I was just discussing about causality. So there was one basic data which shows me. Uh, okay, see, this was one of the data which I was discussing about it. So the two data which are showing me, see, both are showing me something like there is an caffeine content and extraction time. This data set we had worked also once we had worked also. If you remember, I had just plotted a scatter plot. Even today, I would be just plotting and discussing with you, and we would be discussing about causality problem. So when I just plot this thing, and when just I draw a graph, I just want a scatter plot, and there were my two variables that are readily available. So again, just I am clicking it, my x variable or y variable. So now my see, caffeine content is a y variable, and extraction time becomes my x variable. I had discussed this in our previous session, but again I am repeating why. Because when I just extract much more, the caffeine content would be reduced. So our x variable is extraction time, and y variable is you can say caffeine content. When I just click OK, when I just click OK, there is a scatter plot which has been highlighted. So now see, when I just interpret it, the caffeine content, the less extraction time gives me more caffeine, and more extraction time give me less caffeine content. So again, can I consider, you can say x on y or y or x? Like for example, I just change the things, or I just change my statements, that when I just you can say extract less, my caffeine content would be less. When sorry, more, and when I extract more, my caffeine content would be less. So same way, if I interpret in a wrong way, then also there is a problem. So that is basic problem of, uh, you can say wrong direction causality. Like I am not identifying the actual direction of causality in a proper sense. So wrong direction of causality happens when your variables are not signifying the different aspects. If it is not clearly highlighting, at that time the problem can occur. The next problem is third, you can say time problem. Many times you can say duration plays vital role. The data which may be you can say older or something like that, that cannot give you the accurate estimation for the present time. Next is a third variable problem in causality. Okay, here I would like to give one example, that suppose there is a fire which has been placed in a warehouse. Now there was a one concept that more fire was like more number of you can say fire brigade peoples are there, then I consider that there is a more damage in my warehouse. But I had not considered the third variable. See here, the third variable in scenario is, just give me 1 minute, student. Hello. Okay. So here the third variable which is present. See, I had found the relation. Yes, there was a relation that more number of fire brigade persons are there, then more number of goods would be damaged in my warehouse. But third variable is the density, or you can say intensity of fire. If the intensity of fire is more, my, you can say directly or indirectly, my goods would be damaged more, and due to it, more number of fire brigade are there for solving, or you can say for they spray the carbon dioxide to uh, close the fire. So that is the third variable problem. If I don't, or I ignore the third variable, if I predict something else, then my prediction of causality goes wrong. And last is the underlying variable of a problem. Many times in a stock market, this kind of effects you are seeing. Underlying variable problem means you are not seeing what due to why the effect is taken place, due to why which effect the change is taking. So underlying variable, if I am not identifying, then also this kind of problem occurs. So till now, any doubt? My first test basically when I just start on Minitab is correlation. So basically when I just go to stats, hence basic statistics, go in correlation, just write down both variable, try to apply Pearson correlation. Even you can see the store matrix, but it is not required. So this way it shows me the relationship between it, and we know the basic things of correlation, like if the negative value comes and if the value is above it, we can consider that there is a strong negative correlation that can be known through our graph also. Even we can use crosshairs and we can identify each things. So this was our first test. Any doubt in correlation? Now you can run correlation in Minitab. So hopefully there is no doubt from your side. Any doubt till now, students? Now we are moving towards a new topic, that is ANOVA. You have learned this ANOVA, but obviously when we are just doing analysis of variance on aspect of quality, we need to interpret it in a different sense. So just we would be doing analysis of variance. I would be just inserting my data from my worksheet, and just give me 1 minute to. Okay, so my first analysis of data, or you can say analysis of variance data, is somewhere here. Moisture data is there. When I just click on moisture, the machines 1, 2, 3 and 4 are there, and we need to work on it. Now I just want to just debrief the summary of a data. First of all, that in my factory there is 4 machines which are installed, and that machines are just maintaining the moisture content in my coffee. So suppose if moisture is more, then also my coffee is not acceptable, and if moisture is less, then the taste of the coffee would not seem to be well. So that's why there should be a perfect accurate percentage of, you can say, moisture content present in a coffee, and that should be checked. Now suppose I am having 4 different machine, and I am just taking a sample of 10 from each lot. I need to check whether the coffee content, or you can say moisture content, from all the 4 batches or produced through 4 different machinery are equal or not. So this was a basic thing. As a quality manager, I just need to know whether the coffee content are equal or not. See, now doing the ANOVA in Minitab is really very easy. Like we just need to copy paste the data. Wait, I am just taking a new Minitab so that you can get that file, and on the basis of file you can practice it. So this is my new Minitab. I am just pasting my data. Okay, the first step, see, basically what I will teach now, I will just teach you how to run the ANOVA test. Not only run the ANOVA test, how to interpret the result and all other factors. But first of all, if you want to run the ANOVA test, you cannot run the ANOVA test if the data is in this kind of form. The Minitab requires staked form of data. Staked means clubbed form of data. So first we need to go to organize our data. So just move to stack. Obviously these are data of our 4 columns. So just click on columns. Just insert the 4 machinery, that is machine 1, machine 2, machine 3 and machine 4. Make if you want, you can just make it in a new worksheet. Just write down the names, stacked data, of coffee. When you just click it, you will get it. See here, there is a duration. The data, as I had discussed, when you just see the things, when you see the data, there was a 4 machines, and obviously each machine has a 10 samples. So total stacked data should be of 40. The same thing when we are seeing the machine 1, 2, 3, 4, and when I just see it, it is actually 40. So now whatever the data I require, now it is there. So here I will just write machine number, and here I will just write duration. Sorry, moisture content. So now I am having a ready data. If I wanted to run my ANOVA test on this data, I just had to go to stats on the basis of ANOVA. Obviously, I will run one-way ANOVA. See, moisture content is my first thing, and second is machine number, that is my factor. Because as we have seen, our x variable and y variable should be categorical, or you need to find out. So see, in this case, like moisture variable and other variable. So my numerical variable is you can say moisture content, and my categorical variable is machine number, that is machine 1, machine 2, machine 3. So I am having a perfect you can say I can apply ANOVA. But remember, there are certain rules and regulations to apply the ANOVA. You need to see the assumptions. The basic assumption is that basically you should have a data that should be following a normal distribution. Other thing, like for example, just give me 1 minute. Okay. Your data should be normal, and it should not contain outliers, or you can say much more variances that should not be there. So now maybe I am assuming it that my data is following normality, and if I need to just apply my ANOVA, just I need to move towards states, ANOVA, one-way ANOVA. Obviously, I need to just write down the x and y variable. So my response variable is extraction time, and my factors are, I'm sorry, okay. So just again I am calculating, just give me 1 minute. I am just moving towards ANOVA and moving towards one-way ANOVA. So obviously my first thing was my stack data was of moisture content, and my another data, the variable data like factor data, was machine, like number of machine 1, machine 2, machine 3. So when I just move towards options, we try to assume that it is not having an equal variance. So that thing you need to change, and in graph try to find out individual value plot. It will show much more better clarity. When you just click it OK, when you just give OK, you will see the result. Okay, see now these are my 4 machines, that is machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, machine 4, and even these are my dot points. Like you just see, these are the variable, and my equal variance. If I want to check the whether my mean variance are equal, see, remember in ANOVA, if there is all the machines have same mean also, no, then also the same plot would not be there. The straight line cannot be found. There would be some variation. due to any other reason. So that's why an important thing you should remember, whether your mean should be on a equal or not, that from visual aspect you check it, it is not showing an equality. But we should not depend on just visual aspects. We need to see our p value. See here, p value is showing me 0.006. So obviously when I had just explained my hypothesis test, I had discussed that whether the p value is less than zero point 0.5, we need to reject our null hypothesis. So now in my ANOVA, what would be the null hypothesis? So remember, my null hypothesis is that I am just discussing that my mu1 or much you can say mu1 would be equal to mu2 equal to the mu3 equal to mu4. But what would be my alternate hypothesis? That any of the mean is not equal to maybe greater than or less than my other mu. So that is basically that is my hypothesis that I need to frame. And here, see, basically it has represented that my means are not equal to one another. So at 95 confidence interval, I would just reject my p-value. I will just reject my p-value. But here, I will not get accurate, you can say, summary. Still, I need to elaborate it properly to analyze, or you can say to check the model. Like for example, there was a difference, but how much proportion of difference was there, that can be highlighted through checking the r square. Remember, r square is nothing, it is just showing the proportion of effect of uh, x variable on y variable. So suppose in this date 26.11% effect is showing. So my CTQ, like 26% of 26.11% of my x variable has given an impact to y variable. So it is really very less. So there is chances, or you can say there are different kinds of chances that there are uh, like moisture content is different in 4 different machinery, and that has been explained properly through r square, that 26% of only explained variables are highlighted in my content, rather than other things are not considered. So that is an important thing we need to learn. See, in case of machine like 1 2 3 4, see, everyone's mean is different, everyone's mean are different. The two has same mean, that is 11.93 11, but you can get it the standard deviation, or you can say difference, even your upper and lower limit and both the plot. So this way you can falsify the claim, or you can just accept the claim. But in our language also, like in quality also, we just need to say we reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. So as per now, like in this situation, in this scenario, we can consider that our claim for having all the moisture content, or you can say average of machine 1, machine 2, machine 3 and machine 4 should be equal, that is not acceptable. You can say it has failed to reject, and on the basis of it you can justify it that one of the claim, any one of the machine is not having equal variance to other three of them. So any doubt in ANOVA students, anyone? Should I repeat the process again? प्रोसेस एक बार फिर से बता दूं डेटा वापस डाल के? Should I show it again, ANOVA? No, Gulshan is saying no. So we should move towards next important topic. Okay. So I had described one more important thing, that on the basis of it, we just need to do residual analysis. So now how to do residual analysis? Just see it. See, first thing, my claim was rejected. That is, there is a variances, or you can say there is a difference between machine 1, or you can say average of machine 1, average of machine 2, average of machine 3, and average of machine 4. But on the basis of it, I had also seen the explained variable that can be known through our R square, that only 26% of the data gives me the explanation of the, you can say, model fit, like 26% only impact, you can say, of X variable on Y variable. So now that thing can be considered, or you can say all the factors which are explaining it, the relationship, that is only explained 25%. So you can say it is weak, you can say it is really very weak, and on the basis of it, the impact factor cannot be known. But now, suppose if I want to just validate the assumption, then I should just find out the residual analysis. So again, I can do it residual analysis. We just need to go to ANOVA. Four in one plot. Just give me 1 minute, students. I need to find 4 in one plot. Okay, that topic I am leaving for now. I will just highlight it in our next day's session. So now, hopefully, ANOVA has been completed, but some of the assumptions that should be seen, and that assumption is that normality should be there. All the outliers or irregularities should not be there, and we can just move towards ANOVA. But suppose the data shows non-normality, like many data is there, like throughput time data is only there, it doesn't shows the normality. So at that time, we need to apply the Krushkov-Wallis test. Like I would just give an example of throughput times also. So, okay, THT data point is there. One time, like the same things are there. One data is our numerical, another data is a categorical data. And when we just apply it, there is no assumptions required. We can just work on it on the basis of it, but we should know that it should not show the normality, and that normality can be checked. I will show you, just give me 1 minute. Okay, see, my data has been pasted, but I need to see whether my data is normal or not. So I am having 56 number of data. I will just go in basic statistics. I will just click on graphical summary. I will just install my THT and I will just click OK. And it will share the data type. Obviously, the data type is not a normal type. We can just specify it by visual observation. Obviously, you can see here it is not having a normality. But then also for confirmation, you can see our AD normality test. So obviously it is less than 0.005. So that's why our data is not normal. So by considering this fact, I am just applying Krushkov-Wallis test and I just try to interpret the result. So remember, Krushkov-Wallis test is a part of non-parametric statistics. Obviously, my response factor would be y, that is TST, and my X factor you can say is training. So here I just click OK and I will see the magic. So okay, first I need to show the data. I just need to explain the data and what Kruskal-Wallis test does. What is difference between ANOVA and Kruskal-Wallis? I need to explain it first of all. See, basically all the parametric test use mean as a power, use mean as their base. But when you move towards non-parametric test, because in our production quality we are sometimes forced to use non-parametric test as per the requirement and even as per the availability of data. So whenever the median is considered, it becomes less powerful than mean. But then also we can just, you can say, interpret the output. We can find out the difference. Now in this throughput time, the seconds are given, and after and before training is given the data. Like for example, many of the people have taken training and many of the people have not taken the training. So obviously they have just find out the median. So obviously the duration of a training taken was 191. So it is like they are just reducing the impact like many times. Now this is throughput time of a call data. So after training they can handle the calls and they are just consuming less duration. But if they have not taken the training, the median would move to 246. So that's why you can compare it, that on the basis of it you can find out that there is a difference between the test. So see, they are also writing the hypothesis. See, in this they have written all medians are equal, at least one of the median is different. Obviously there is a difference, we have seen it, and we have seen our value, that is our p value. So p value is less than 0.01, so it has been rejected. So there is a difference, and obviously the difference can be calculated by just subtracting the median of two different groups. So just subtract it, like from 246 subtract 191, the 55-second differences are found if before training and after training is of data is given. So that is a median basically. So this much second of duration that can be considered when we are just managing the two different set of work. So till now, any doubt to anyone? Should I repeat this step, Gulshan or any other student? Parametric and non-parametric test, I think I had given. Okay. Parametric and non-parametric test. Basically, first we need to check the normality and then we need to apply it. And on the basis of it, like we need to consider the variable relation, the y variable and x variable relation. Now, suppose we are changing this two type of variable. Now we are moving towards the parametric side. So now the t distribution would play an important role. I am just showing it. Just give me 1 minute to work on that data. So now screen is visible, right? Okay, so now fertilizer data set is there. Just click, I am just clicking it. First I will just give introduction of a data and then I will apply it to Minitab. So suppose Gulshan is having a small farm. He is just growing tomatoes there. Tomato बराबर है गुलशन और कुछ. If you want, it's your farm, its choice is yours. But now for now I am just keeping tomatoes. Suppose Gulshan is farming tomatoes, and basically Gulshan has two different fertilizer qualities, and he wants to say that sir, which fertilizer I should adopt, that due to that fertilizer I can get a better product, like better productivity. So basically, he has two types of, you can say fertilizer, you can say two types of brand that are available, and he is working on it. So now what he has done, he has bifurcated that farm into 20 different square boxes, and he has plowed different tomatoes, and in 10 box, in 10 that box in a farm, he just sprinkles fertilizer A in 10 different farms, the other 10 different farms, or you can say other 10 different parts of farm which he has plotted in a box form, he sprinkles fertilizer B, and now he tests whether the output of both gives me a same result or not, because he just need to try whether fertilizer A is better or whether fertilizer B is better. So he's comparing the mean of all them. So now on the basis of it, we will find out the result which fertilizer is better. I am just copying the data set to my Minitab. So I had copied my both the fertilizer, that is fertilizer A and fertilizer B, in our Minitab, and just by doing few calculations, like suppose I will just go to basic statistics to sample t test, and obviously it is not paired t test. Okay, it cannot be done through this method. I need to stack my data. वो एनोवा में जैसे हमने stack किया था, the same way I need to stack my data. So first I need to stack it by just, because both are column, so just implement A and B. It should be in our new worksheet, whatever the name you can write. I am writing my name. I am just clicking OK. See, the data has been stacked, fertilizer A and fertilizer B, and my data points has a 20 output. So here I will write output, and here I will write subscript or anything. It is okay. It is fair enough. So when I just calculate my t-test, through basic two sample t-test, I just put out the sample, that is my output variable, and my sample ID is subscript. See, our Minitab is so smart that it categorize and it would not let you to put a wrong things. It would be just giving you right ideology, and whatever the right method of entering the data, it would suggest first. So now in option, just see it confidence interval. Now if suppose I want to just click 99%, then also I can I can just find our hypothesis, maybe one test, two test, whatever I can do it. And on the basis of it, I can just have a graph also. Like suppose I want individual plot or box plot, that both can be derived in one click. So when I just click OK, see box plot is also there. It also shows me. Even my dot plots are also there. Not only both, but when I just click OK, it gives me with hypothesis. The mean of output when subscript fertilizer A. Subscript means whatever our data is there. So it is based on a fertilizer, and subscript when fertilizer B is there. Now when I just see the difference, my p-value suggests me that it is less than 0.05. So I need to reject my null hypothesis, and that is also shown in my individual box plot. See, my variances are more. Even it shows in my box plot. Like, see, the boxes are only different. So now there is no equality. But when I compare the fertilizer B produces more, so that should be adopted, or that should be considered. So Gulshan, fertilizer B is better than fertilizer A. It gives more productivity compared to fertilizer A. So just try to select that fertilizer, so that can be known through different tests. So till now, any doubt to anyone, students? Till now, any doubt to anyone? Yes, no? Okay. So Gaurav is saying no, Chexi is saying clear, very good. So now we are moving towards another topic. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So one more practice data is there. For ANOVA only it is there. I am just showing the process of ANOVA once again, and then we will do for non-parametric test again, that is our chi-square. But first we will just work on this data set so that you can get idea about ANOVA again. So just clicking copy, and when just I enter to the new mini tab, see these are the three different shift the people are working, and the data is same. I think 30 data is considered, and we need to find the people who are working on the basis of it, their you can say productivity or output, whether they are same or not. So I just need to compare it. Now you all are smart, you all can just highlight कैसे होता है मुझे बताइए. So first we need to go in ANOVA, obviously one way. व्हेन आई जस्ट गो टू वन वे, ऑब्वियसली सर नहीं होगा, आपने अभी तक डेटा को स्टैक नहीं किया है. द डेटा शुड बी इन अवर स्पेसिफिक स्टैक्ड फॉर्मेट, सो यू कैन नॉट रन द टेस्ट. सो फर्स्ट थिंग यू नीड टू डू इज स्टैक द डेटा. और स्टैक करने के लिए क्या करना है, डेटा में जाना है. ऑब्वियसली वी नीड टू मूव टुवर्ड्स कॉलम. Just enter the data, that is shift 1, shift 2 and shift 3. Let it be in our new workshop. Give the name Rohit and just click OK. See, now my data has been generated. So here the output is there. I will just write output, and in this data I will just write shift number. So my shift number is categorical data, output is numerical data, and we just need to see that whether it impacts or not. So again I am just moving towards ANOVA, one way ANOVA. I will just find out response. देखो वो हमेशा से response factor मेरे लिए ढूंढ के रखेगा. Even he will just factorize it. So shift number is factorizing it. ग्राफ में हमेशा याद रखना, we need individual plot also. If you want box plot, that is also a better thing. You can find out options में हमेशा try to give him that we are not assuming our equal variances. There may be, and obviously two side intervals can be like two-sided test should be done. So when just click OK, you will find the output in a screen. So see here the variance of shift 1, shift 2 and shift 3. It is really not equal. It has also prepared my null and alternate hypothesis. My null hypothesis that are all means are equal, that is from shift 1, shift 2, shift 3, all of the means are equal. Whereas the alternate hypothesis, not all the means are equal. Any one would be different. My significance level that was also written here 0.05 because I had done 95% of analysis. Now they are just giving me factor information. They have given me p-value. Obviously p-value is greater than 0.5. So now my null hypothesis is failed to reject. Now see the difference between one more important thing. See here r square. वो लास्ट केस में जब हमने r square देखा था वहां पे it was near about 26%, but here it explains more variable. So here r square is 80%. So you can say that most of the variables are explained here, and that's why your like most of the mean and standard deviation are near to each other, like, and that's why you just have to see your plot. See here individual plot and all that things shows a linearity, and that's why your assumption has become failed to reject. So till now, any doubt to anyone, students? Gulshan or any other student? Clear? Yes, great. Students, any doubt till now? Are you all present? Good morning. Great. Good evening. Now we would be moving towards next data set. So our next data set is again departments and throughput time. Again the same data set is there. Here we cannot apply ANOVA. Here we need to apply Kruskal-Wallis test because the throughput time data, remember, is always a non-normal data. I would just work on it and I will show you now. Copy the data, just paste it in a mini tab. Now basically when it is in a form of stacked data, so now we can just directly test it. So just move to stats, non-parametric test, Kruskal-Wallis test. Obviously your response factor is throughput time and your factor becomes your department. But then also before doing this we need to check the normality of data. So first basic stats, move towards graphical summary and check the normality of throughput time by just clicking OK. See, it will not show the normality. यहाँ पे देखो normality नहीं है, normal curve is not sitting, and that these are all outliers. So here you can, like, Anderson value is also showing less than 0.5. So you need to apply non-parametric statistics, and on the basis of it, Kruskal-Wallis test is the one of the best tests that can compare your median through it. Just apply it, just click OK. आपका सब कुछ सामने screen पे with one click. All medians are equal. It has just found out your hypothesis. At least one of the median is different. Obviously p-value is not showing, so it has been rejecting the null hypothesis. So there is a difference between the median. and see where you can find out a clear cut difference between all the three medians. In first A category there is 11.52, in B category there is 9.989, and in C category there is a difference of 15.47. So there that it rejects our hypothesis, and that's why you can conclude that your medians doesn't show equality, and that's an important thing that we need to learn. So that's why there is a difference between three department, and three different department produces unequal throughput times. So till now, any doubt to anyone that why I had considered this as a non-parametric test? मैंने इसमें एनोवा क्यों नहीं लगाया? किसी को क्वेश्चन नहीं आ रहा है? मैंने एनोवा क्यों नहीं किया? किसी को क्वेश्चन हो रहा है? यस, नो? Students, anyone is having that question? Why I had not applied ANOVA and why I had applied Kruskal Wallace? Gulshan is saying yes. Gulshan, हमेशा याद रखना, whenever you are applying any parametric test, it has a set, or you can say it has an assumption that data should follow normality. वो bell shape curve में formal normality होना चाहिए. But when I just seen the throughput time data, just give me 1 minute. मैंने जब ये थ्रूपुट टाइम वाला डेटा देखा, आई हैड जस्ट चेक द नॉर्मालिटी, और यू कैन से समरी रिपोर्ट चेक किया. ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ समरी रिपोर्ट देखो डेटा नॉर्मल नहीं है. सम ऑफ द मेनी ऑफ द आउटलायर्स आर देयर. दिस इज जस्ट अ विजुअल कंफर्मेशन, ये सिर्फ विजुअल कंफर्मेशन है. बट देन ऑल्सो आई नीड टू सी द नॉर्मालिटी टेस्ट, एंड यहाँ पे जब मैं बेसिक स्टेट्स में जाके ग्राफिकल समरी टेस्ट करता हूँ, it directly shows me the Anderson-Darling normality test, and when I see the p-value which is less than 0.05, so 0.05, so it says that the data is not normal. यहाँ पे मुझे बता देता है कि डेटा है वो नॉर्मल नहीं है, and that's why I am applying my Kruskal-Wallace test of throughput times. और हमेशा याद रखना, जब भी आप थ्रूपुट टाइम्स का या ऐसा कोई डेटा है, it will never show the normality. It will never show the normality. So now is it clear, Gulshan? Everyone, now it is clear. Everyone, I am asking, not Gulshan. Everyone. Okay, great, great. So now we are moving towards our next non-parametric test, that is our chi-square test. So just I will move towards the data, and we would be moving towards chi-square test. Okay, why chi-square test is applied? If my x and y variable, if my x and y variable both are in a categorical form, categorical means both are categories. Like for example, यहाँ पे डेटा देखिए, स्पेशलिस्ट डॉक्टर्स के लिए है, इट इज पी क्यू एंड आर. तो तीन डॉक्टर्स अवेलेबल है, पी क्यू एंड आर. इट इज कैटेगराइजिंग द थ्री डिफरेंट डॉक्टर्स, एंड इवन डिपार्टमेंट ए एंड डिपार्टमेंट 4, दिस बोथ आर अगेन अ कैटेगरी. सो दोनों डेटा अगर कैटेगरियल हो जाते हैं, at that time you need to apply chi-square test. So again, it is an important test that we are running in our data set. Just give me 1 minute so that I can copy my data set into Minitab, and I will show you that how it runs. See, my both the data are variables. You can say categories. Both are in alphabetical. You can say output. So this both data are categorical. So here I can apply my chi-square test. Again, just give me 1 minute. Okay, remember chi-square test would not be written anywhere. You need to find goodness of fit test. आपने जब पढ़ा होगा statistics तब chi-square is the name, but remember chi-square would not be found in a software. Here you need to just find out goodness of fit test for proportion. Obviously you need to find out a variables. Okay, इसको भी stack करना जरूरी है. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so specialist and column my department. When I just see the statistics, obviously display count, even raw residuals, all the things are there. Okay. When I just click on it, it will show my chi-square test. It will just prepare all the things and it will just give me my p-value. So here my p-value is 0.404. It is more than it, so there is a linearity, or you can say there is a chi-square thing, or there is a likelihood that my all the departments are, you can say A1 and A4 are handled by PQ and R, and all the counts are equal. So here I just see the counts, all the things, even my that table, the matrix table is prepared here. So that's why we can conduct a chi-square test. Again, I am repeating how to do the chi-square test. Just we need to move towards tables. In table, we just need to move for chi-square test for association. When we just click OK, we just need to find out a categorical variable because it is not having a numerical variable. I am just writing in rows and columns, and when I just click it OK, my all data would be in count. Now see p, how many times it has been there, that would be changed into counted frequency, and on the basis of that count we have interpreted the result. My Pearson and likelihood ratio would be there, my degree of freedom would be there, and my p value would be there. See, both the p values are near, that is 0.0410. So obviously it is more than 0.05. So my like goodness of it is failed to reject. So my assumption was there, that is, for example, all the data is equal. So here, like all the department has equal data, that is, you can say, assumed, and it is carefully interpreted. So any doubt till now? Any doubt till now to anyone? Great. So this much I would keep it for today. For tomorrow's session, I would be just working on regression and multiple regression. And then again, we would be having a small quiz that has been planned by me for Six Sigma. So 100 MCQs are there that I will be conducting the test, and I would be giving 1 hour, so that in 1 hour you just have to give the answers of that, and you will get a quick scores tomorrow only. So that is a basically plan from my side. If you have any other things that you can add to the workshop, like any feedback or anything, that you can add it. uh, okay, so now we are again moving towards our basic theory topic, which are left to cover for a workshop. So just give me 5 minutes. Okay, so 8 types of waste we have just discussed many times, but again, for a small recap, I am repeating, it is Tanji Ohono's 8 original emission was 7 types of weight, but 8 type of waste was underutilized people. So these are the basic 8 types of waste that we had discussed in our previous session many times, but we need to just remember. So I am repeating, the first waste is overproduction waste. That is, many times we make more rather than operation or it is required. So it is overproduction waste. Waiting, obviously, we should wait for other process due to unavailability of equipment or any other thing. Next is transportation waste. Unnecessary if we transport or anything, then that type of waste due to it, there would be wastage of any other material components. Over processing that I had discussed, when you add it, when you just work more on it, then that type of thing is known as over processing waste. Most inventory waste, if you just prepare more things and when we need to keep in an inventory, or when we just doesn't keep inventory, so that is also considered as an inventory waste. Motion waste, as I have discussed, whenever unnecessary movement is there, then waiting would be there, and that type of motion waste would be there. Production of defective parts or information. So this is most important waste we need to control. That whenever we just prepare defective things, or it just doesn't pass proper information, then this kind of waste is there. And last kind of waste is not fully utilizing the employee's brain power, skills, or experience, or talents, or creativity. Many times, many managers, due to many other reasons, they don't utilize the people, the talent of the people. So, as in HR, we are saying right man and right place at right job, but due to many other reasons, we cannot deploy them at right place at right time. Then that is wasted, and that is our eighth type of waste. Student, this is also an important concept of Six Sigma. Basically, it is an important concept of lean rather than Six Sigma. We need to map our process from where and what we are delivering, where we are adding the value. That should be known to us, and that should be added to us. So value stream mapping is most important from our RFQ to delivery. That is from where we are just taking our raw material to when we are delivering the goods. We need to find out the different processes that happens. So the first thing we need to determine, that is our determine the process family. So what are the different processes that take place at our work center, that should be known to us? On the basis of it, we need to streamline the process. Streamline the process means we need to accurately map our process, and we need to identify where the waste is there, where we can improve our process, where we can add our efficiency and all that. Draw a current state map. Many times you would be seeing a different diagrams that have been sticked in a project manager, or you can say quality manager's office. Why? Because they try to draw a current state of map, that how the value stream maps, how the input process output works. Create future state map. Future state means what are the changes that you require, that should be mapped by you. And last is develop the action plan to get the improved future state. Many times you need to develop your action plan, and on the basis of it you need to improve your future state. So now one by one we would be discussing the four steps of value stream mapping, and then we would be ending today's session. So all are comfortable, no? Good evening to all. Just give me 1 minute break. I need to drink water. Okay, so we are moving towards a topic. The first step is product development. Most important step of the day. We need to first identify the customer requirement, what our customer is requiring or what he is demanding accordingly. Define the delivery method. I would like to add one most important factor here. Amul is trying to deliver milk with all possible ways. Now see, Amul has developed their delivery process in such a way that on, like suppose 6:30 or 6 o'clock, on a click of that clock near to your house, you will find the Amul milk.
daily, not per day or Wednesday or Saturday. Every day you will find out. So that is a method of delivery of goods that we need to make. We need to make our delivery cycle thoroughly, that our goods would be delivered in a market on time, and whenever customer requires, you can fulfill it. Define a typical quantity requirement. See, on the basis of a previous quantity, you need to update the quantity. Whatever the things are there, you need to use forecasting techniques. You need to forecast the process, and you need to see what are the requirements of it. So this is our first step of product development. What product is there, what customer wants, how you deliver them, what kind of requirements are there, quantity numbers are required. Now on the basis of it, we need to design the process, our overall system, how to work on it. So when we just try to design our process, we need to see this many factors that are working on it. So first is the cycle time, that how operator and machine cycle time, how they work, how they produce, in how many minutes or how many you can say hours, or how many time the process is moving and completing the revolution of a product. So that is known as your cycle time of it. Change over time. Sometimes you need to change the process from one to another because of a product requirement. So you need to see a change over time also. On the basis of it, you need to also see the average inventory queue. How much inventory of raw material you need to keep to fulfill that process. On the basis of it, you need to also maintain the average production batch size, like what are the batch size that are required. On the basis of it, you need to make a batch and you need to deploy in a market, which batch would be deployed at which market, number of operation at each process, how many operations that would be done to complete that process. Package or container size, the most important thing, how you pack it, what are the container size, all these things should be known to you. Available time, like take out break and lunch time, what is your exact time in which you would be doing a production, that would be known. Scrap rate means if you are producing something, natural or abnormal scraps, both you should know. Machine uptime, that is availability, and number of product variation, how much product variation would be deployed, and all that factors should be known to you. So that way you just design the process, and on the basis of it you can work on it. Our step 3 is preparation. Now your preparation means your record as much as information that is pertinent or important in a process description. Try to deploy that process, try to prepare it, try to make it ready for implementation. Now you are moving towards your next stage, that is the planning stage. So here you need to plan, or you need to develop a future step of map, future state of map, sorry. So when you are just deploying your process, your new process, you just need to map it, that what would be the actual process that would take place in my warehouse or in my factory. Dream about perfection. See, this is most important thing. Just imagine that you can work accurately, not only you but your team, but on the basis of it you can make your process exact. Think outside the box. Many times new innovations are required that you need to think it. Develop alternatives to current state of map, that is muda free, or we have discussed what is muda, how to improve our process, that is an important thing, and how to just reduce the muda, the unwanted process, that we need to know. Focus on velocity, that is try to just complete it and deploy it soon. Remember, 1% error adds directly to the bottom line. Whenever you are just working on it, if there is 1% which is added to the bottom line, it would just give your process unadequate, you can say, wastages. So try to reduce this. I am reading this statement again. The business was very focused on its core processing activity, but less focused on supporting function. One of the supporting function was offline handling and managing its molds, which were quite fragile and breakable. Many times, no, you have seen a biscuit or manufacturing industry or any other place, the molds are there which give shape to the content, the actual shape to the content. So same way there was a discussion of it in our case, and there were like business was focus in processing activity, but they were not giving focus on molds, and obviously it was breakable. This was considered less important activity than the production, and as long as molds were ready for production required, plant management largely ignored this activity. So many times plant manager is ignoring the activity, and also the budget for this session was relatively small. Like many times, no, the things are given certain budget that this much percentage of cost would be spent on a mold, this much percentage of cost would be spent on a wear and tear of machinery and all that. So when you compare it, it was having very less amount which were kept for a reserve. So in 1 year they would spend about 2 lakh rupees on replacement of mold that were broken offline, and as that was only 1% of cost, the activity was never previously targeted in typical cost reduction program. See now the 2 lakh dollar is very huge amount, but it is 1% of the cost, but that cost also you can save it. As a part of operational review, the organization investigated its 1% error, and that was previously ignored cost. So, as comparison with similar plants showed that it was possible to operate with almost zero breakages, and that the current expense could be eliminated with better handling and management. So, the 2 lakh dollar, which were like negligence, because of the negligence they were ignoring it, that can be saved by us, and that can reduce the expense, and you can eliminate the cost by better handling and management. So that's an important thing. So results in breakaging being almost eliminated, focusing on previously 1% ignored error and adopting a simple procedural change. 2 lakh dollar is added, and that is your profit, nothing else. So same way you need to work, and same way you need to think, because as I have discussed, no, Japanese persons are more concentrated on reducing the errors. They don't make a mistake. They try to focus on processes and try to work on it. So I would like, with your kind permission, I will keep my Six Sigma workshop till here. Hopefully you are not having any doubt. Suppose any doubts are there, you can unmute and discuss with me, or if you just write down your name, enrollment number, and name and enrollment number, so that I can track your attendance. Fast, write down it. Gulshan,